Our village has a secret. The men in the village don't need to work. Once they reach adulthood, they can become rich by producing milk. This special milk not only helps with skin beauty, but also prolongs life. It can be said that it is extremely valuable. Until my brother turned 18 and was sent to the milk god temple, everything changed. I witnessed this terrifying transaction that defied humanity. A horrifying deal, and the next one to reach adulthood would be me. The day my brother turned 80, my dad bought a large carp from the market. He personally made a big pot of carp soup. The smell of the fish soup floated from the kitchen. I was drooling from the delicious smell, but my brother seemed upset. Drink more, drink enough to produce milk. My brother remained silent. He lowered his head and stirred the soup with a spoon. After a moment, he muttered, "Dad, I'm a man. I have hands and strength. I don't want to make money by selling my body. Can I?" "What nonsense are you talking? How much can you earn with strength?" "All the men in the village earn money with their bodies. Do you think you're more valuable than others? Wait until the sun sets. I'll take you to the milk god temple. As long as you spend the night with the milk goddess, you'll be able to produce milk." My dad slammed the chair and walked away. I looked at my brother covering his face. His eyes were red. He looked at me with despair in his eyes. If I go into the milk goddess temple, my life is over. I want to escape the village. Will you help me? I nodded, though I didn't understand why my brother wanted to escape. The uncles in the village always said, "Milk goddess is a beautiful and gentle woman. My brother and I have been without a mother since childhood. Having more women is a good thing. Though I'm a few years younger than my brother, I was already nearly as tall as he was. I stayed in my brother's room. Then, while our dad was in the kitchen washing dishes, my brother quietly slipped away. By the time it was getting dark, my dad opened the door. His voice softened, "Let's go. The village chief and the others are waiting outside." I felt guilty and didn't dare to turn back. I didn't dare to speak either. My dad poured me a drink, but I didn't move. He turned on the light and walked over. "Why are you here? Where's your brother?" I stammered, not knowing what to say. My dad didn't wait for me to speak. He slapped me and threw me onto the bed. His eyes were filled with anger. "What use are you two to me?" The village chief and the others heard the noise from the house. They all sighed with disappointment. "What are we going to do now?" "We've angered the milk goddess. Our village is done for. Yes, he's the only man in the village who turned 18 this year. Now we find someone else to replace him. Don't worry, I predicted this. I've already arranged for people to guard the village exits since early morning. Don't worry, he won't escape. We'll go find him together. Even if we have to tie him up, we're bringing him to the milk goddess temple today." My dad grabbed a bundle of rope. He and the village chief rushed out the door. I quietly followed them. Before long, my brother was caught. I hid in the shadows. I watched them tie my brother up like they were tying a pig. They lifted him onto their shoulders. They carried him toward the back mountain. Milk goddess temple was on that mountain. Only adult men are allowed to go up. If underage boys go up, it's a violation of village rules, and they'll be severely punished. I've never been to the mountain. I know nothing about the temple. I didn't dare to follow them. I stayed up all night. As the sky slowly brightened, at about 6 a.m., I heard some noise from the gate. I quickly went to the yard. I saw my brother with blank eyes. His steps were unsteady. On his shirt was a large white patch of milk. He saw me and suddenly seemed very embarrassed. He hugged his chest with both hands, hastily ran into the house. My dad smiled at him. "Milk goddess is very pleased with you. You produce more milk than a goat. We'll make a lot of money." I didn't know what to say. I just quietly watched my brother's room. I was curious. What exactly had he gone through? Why could a grown man suddenly produce milk? I don't know what to say. Just quietly looked into my brother's room. I am curious about what my brother went through. Why was it that after spending a night at the milk goddess temple, he could suddenly produce milk? Our village has a secret. The men in the village don't have to work. Once they reach adulthood, they can become rich by producing milk. This special milk not only helps to beautify and improve the skin, but also prolongs life. It is said to be extremely valuable. But after my brother was sent to the milk goddess temple, everything changed. I witnessed this terrifying transaction. Since my brother returned from the milk goddess temple, he locked himself in his room. My dad asked me to bring him carp soup 3 times. But every time I went in, the bowl of soup was still full. I wanted to talk to my brother, but when I saw his pale face, his vacant eyes, the words I was about to say got stuck in my throat. Even though it was summer, he was still covering his upper body with a thick quilt. Despite this, I could still smell the strong scent of milk. At night, my brother made painful noises from his room. My dad said he was suffering from toxic milk. He somehow managed to get a milking device and wanted to help my brother extract the milk. When my brother saw this, he was so frightened that he sat up quickly, hugging his knees and curling up in the corner. "Don't come near me. Don't touch me. If you take it out, you won't feel uncomfortable anymore." My dad tried to reach out to grab him, but unexpectedly, my brother jumped off the bed in fear. He ran toward the door. My dad was getting old, so he asked me to chase after him. He even handed me the milking device. "Tell him not to squeeze too much, otherwise it will be wasted." It's money. I looked at the milking device in my hands. A strange feeling of humiliation surged inside me. What do you think of my brother? Just an animal for milking. I never expected that after raising them for so many years, I would end up raising two ungrateful people. My brother hid in an abandoned house in the village. His shirt was completely soaked. His body reeked of milk. "Go away, I don't want to see anyone." "Can you tell me what happened at the milk goddess temple?" I tried to talk to him. Why has he been vomiting since coming back? And how could he suddenly start producing milk? Could it be that the milk goddess really has the ability to help men produce milk? I always thought that the men in the village reached a certain age and would develop just like women, but now it seems that's not the case. This is completely against common sense. It goes against all scientific knowledge. My brother just looked at me, his eyes bloodshot. I saw his red eyes. "Listen to me. Leave this village before you turn 80. When we got home, my dad's anger had subsided. My brother ate while shedding big tears. I think he had never felt so wronged in his life. My dad seemed a little moved. He didn't have the courage. "Big brother, don't blame me. Being chosen by the milk goddess is your blessing. Get a good rest tonight. Tomorrow, if the milk goddess wants you again, you'll have to go up the mountain again. Think about it carefully." Seeing that my brother didn't say anything, my dad stood up and walked toward the kitchen. He limped as he walked. It seemed that his knee had been hurt during the climb yesterday. When my brother was sick as a child, my dad often carried him for dozens of miles to the hospital, left him with a leg injury. Think my brother could see that my dad was struggling. He wiped away a tear and said, "Dad, don't worry, I'll produce milk and make a lot of money. I'll make sure you and little brother live a good life." My dad smiled so much that his eyes had wrinkles. Good, good, good. From then on, my brother went to the milk goddess temple on the back mountain every day. Every time he came back, he would produce a big bowl of milk. My dad even had the village chief help him sell it. In just a few days, he made a lot of money. My curiosity about the milk goddess temple grew deeper. Why do the men in the village never talk about the milk goddess? I couldn't help but ask my brother, "Is the milk goddess a beautiful woman? Is her voice nice?" My brother was milking. He slightly shook his head and said, "Little brother, don't ask about things like that. The money I make will be enough for your tuition. In a few years, you'll have enough for your dowry too. Just focus on studying." Whenever I tried to ask more, the village chief walked in. He looked at the bowl of milk that was almost full. He smiled and looked at my brother. "Good job, big brother. Milk goddess really likes you. Pack your things. Tomorrow you'll move to the milk goddess temple on the mountain." Hearing this, my brother frowned. My dad's expression suddenly turned serious. He grabbed the village chief's arm and said, "Living in the milk goddess temple might not be suitable. Big brother is already in poor health. Are you sure it's safe for him? Being chosen by the milk goddess is your blessing. If the temple wants him, he has to go. Don't worry, Dad. I won't die. Our village has a secret. The men in the village don't need to work. Once they reach adulthood, they can become rich by producing milk. This special milk not only helps to beautify and improve the skin, but also prolongs life. It is said to be extremely valuable. Until my brother was sent to the milk goddess temple, everything changed. I witnessed this horrifying transaction, a terrifying deal, and the next one to become an adult will be me. A few days later, my brother went missing. The village chief went up the mountain to bring him food, but he found that my brother was no longer at the milk goddess temple. He ordered people to search the back mountain thoroughly, but they couldn't find any trace of him. There's only one small path up the mountain. Even if my brother ran, where could he have gone? It was like he had disappeared into thin air. When my dad heard that my brother was missing, he reacted strangely and stayed silent. I made dinner and tried to call him a few times, but it was as if he couldn't hear me. He remained silent until midnight. Then he suddenly pushed my door open. Pack your things quickly. Leave the village, Dad. What's going on? Do you know where my brother is? I looked at my dad. His expression was urgent. It seemed like he had something difficult to tell me. Quickly, we need to leave before dark. We don't have time to pack. My dad dragged me and we walked toward the village entrance. We hadn't gone far. Suddenly, torches lit up nearby. It was the village chief, hiding with the villagers at the entrance. Their expressions were uneasy, half smiling. They looked rather flustered. They just stared at me. Where are you going at this late hour? Village chief, you are a good man. You're the savior of our family. Please spare my child. Fugui, when your eldest son was ill, I lent you money. I helped you find a doctor. Now you should help me too. The village is in trouble. Milk Goddess is upset. Seeing this situation, it's impossible to break through the village entrance. I quietly glanced at the nearby woods. Maybe there was still a chance. When I looked, I froze in fear. I almost screamed. It was my brother hiding in the woods. His chest seemed to be filled with 2 large sacks.